Hey y'all, welcome back to Yell Respectfully with Ashlee, presented by Just Awesome Because Productions. And today we are talking about Beyond the Gates, which is the new soap opera on CBS. This soap opera has a predominantly black cast. I don't know if it's the actual classification of it, but in my mind, I'm like, oh, the black soap opera. When I heard about it, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I haven't really heard of them starting a new soap opera, in a while. Let me check that out. And then when I saw some of the casting, I was like, whoa, oh, this is some serious casting. I said, well, let me check it out. As the premiere came closer and closer, I realized I was like, man, I'm not a huge soap opera person for myself, but I've definitely watched them. You have like you know, soap operas have been going on like forever. Like I instantly think of like General Hospital and like Young and the Restless and Bold and the Beautiful, and you think of like those classic characters that have been on there forever, played by like iconic actors. And there's just like a social awareness of soap operas, whether you watch them or not. Like you kind of have an awareness of what's going on, how long they've been, like all these things, right? And when I thought about it, I was like, man, I've never seen the beginning of a soap opera. Like I've never seen that. So I kind of want to experience that, if nothing else. Let me tell you. I tune into this thing. First of all, I tuned in like live, which I can't even tell you last time I watched like a live TV show. In the world of streaming and schedules, you watch when you watch, but I tuned in live. I was like, I want to see this. I tuned in live, and it was so interesting because essentially it was a very calm welcome and establishment of like what was going to happen, but it was also extremely distinctive at the same time. So we are like welcomed in with wealth, and it's pretty clear and distinct, and it's like, okay, cool. And then like the next scene is like country club, which is just reinstating that. Okay, cool. And then like pretty soon after that, it's just drama. And I am here for every single bit of it. So essentially, it establishes that there is a very well-off family called the Duprees, and they live in Fairmont, which is a gated community. Everyone goes to the country club. That's where they hang out, socialize, eat. I'm assuming play tennis. And we kind of drop in on one of the one of the Dupree sisters' daughters, who is divorced, and her ex-husband is about to marry her daughter's best friend. Well, ex-best friend at this point, which is like scandal, social scandal. And it was just like, whoa, And so we see Dani is just having big feelings, just throwing stuff, breaking stuff. I'm like here for all of it, And she's just having very, very big feelings. And we're just like, yeah, girl, I get it. Like your man is marrying your daughter's best friend, which is like, similar age too. And it's just like, that energy just feels, we don't want it, And then we find out who the husband is, which is hilarious because, if you've watched shows in the past, you go, of course he's playing this role. Which I hate. That was my reaction, but it absolutely was. And then so his name is Bill Hamilton, and apparently he is a lawyer. I can't tell exactly what type of lawyer. I can't tell if it's criminal, divorce, or something. It seems like he does a bit of general things, but that becomes a little important later. And it's just very interesting because you kind of just seeing like essentially the start of a broken home in this very prominent family. So it's a very big deal. They were married for a long time, had kids, established in the community, lived in this community. So, the divorce is a big deal, sure. But then now it's also the additive of like, he's now marrying someone that's been close to the circle, not exactly in it. And this is the big, big part, is that he's choosing to live in the gated community. He bought a house with the new wife in the gated community. And that's what really like sets things ablaze, right? Because it's like, okay, sir, scandal, scandal, scandal. But now you brought our scandal back to our home? How dare you? So I was like, ooh, I want to find out what happens. And then so Dani, like I said, big feelings. Homegirl is just throwing drinks, slapping cheeks, like just everybody can get a slap. Everybody can get a golf club to the table. Like just she's just going through it. You know what I mean? And the family's like, yeah, we support you. We support you. And then some things come up and it's like, okay, we support her, but this is a bigger thing and she'll get over it. So we gonna need to do this thing. And there's just so much drama. And then, so that's just like the family, the real estate kind of relationship side of it. And then there's like so many other family members in this thing, right? So Dani's sister's name is Nicole. Nicole is a doctor. And that what kind of introduces us to like the hospital medical side of this, which at first I was just like, okay, maybe a hospital is just a standard in soap operas. Like I was like, okay, sure. A couple episodes in, we realized why we need to have a hospital in a soap opera. And I was like, oh, it's to get the tea hot off the presses. I get you. So Dani's a psychiatrist. And so she has, her office and she practices whatever. And she has involvement with the hospital. And her husband is also, I believe he's also a doctor, either doctor or businessman, either way. But he has like offices at the hospital too. And it's just like, ooh, this is what we're finding out. Like, oh, this person is like hurt, or if they're missing person, we can check the hospital. Like, this is where you're kind of getting that energy, right? And it's just one of those things where it's just like, I'm really enjoying being introduced to this world, because like anytime it's a new name, I'm like, oh, who's this person? Who are they related to? How does that work? And then it's interesting because it's like the beginning of the show. So they are kind of going out of their way and obviously telling us who they're related to, which I appreciate. Because at one point I was like, wait, I need a family tree. So like if a person comes up, he'll be like, hey, Aunt Dani. So, okay, that's your nephew. That's probably your sister's son. It was that kind of energy, or, hey, mom, or my beautiful daughter, this, so we're kind of getting like the established tree. And which, like I said, I appreciate, because like everyone is new. So we're still trying to figure it all out. But it's kind of interesting to kind of see how you can have some things that are like established norms, but it just like works, because as we have Dani with the very big feelings and her like super expressing herself and is a little bit of a hothead, granted, the situation, I understand the warranting of it, and then you have the flip where her biological sister, Dr. Dani, is like super calm and like, let's think this through. Obviously her profession, I'm sure, has something to do with that, but just like the two different coins of that. You have like the gossip of the town, which so far seems to be the real estate agent. She's the one that broke the news to the whole family that they bought, that the ex-husband bought the house in the gates. And so literally she was just like, I couldn't say anything until the deal was completely finished. And she goes, I dropped the keys off, so now I can let you know, like they moved in down the block. And she like could not wait to tell everybody. And it's interesting because I feel like I haven't seen an ensemble type cast situation like this in a while. There are some really great like scripted shows that do ensemble casting. It just, in terms of just like the way everyone is kind of like in the same room at the same time in one scene, and you have like main characters that are being background characters for other things. Like I just haven't seen that in a while. So it's kind of refreshing to kind of see that exploration of storytelling, and which is, I don't want to say it's very exclusive to soap operas, because it's not, but it is very much like the mold that they do. Like if you're familiar with like a Grey's Anatomy, then you know that you've seen scenes where Christina Yang, obviously this is a way back thing, but in terms of like Christina Yang being in the background of a scene and she's just there to kind of quote unquote witness information. And then maybe at the end she may say a line and then walk off. But like she's a main character that worked as like a background actor for that scene. You know what I mean? So in the soaps, it feels like that happens a lot more often. And I'm really here for it. It's interesting to see the moving between scenes. Like the telling of the story is very different. I don't know if this is the standard for all soap operas. It might be. Like I said, when I watch them, I don't like watch them like, oh, my show's on, let me check in. Like usually it's like someone's watching it or it's on. I'm like, oh, cool, let me catch up and see like what character is doing what, But I have now watched a whole week of episodes, and essentially in a week's worth of episodes, we've probably gone like 2 days time-wise, you know what I mean? And that's a very different level of story movement than what we're accustomed to on like a normal scripted television show. So it's really interesting to kind of like fall into the story and being like, oh, this is literally like the next scene over. Like this is 5 minutes later. It's not like, oh, a week later or down the block, you know what I mean? So it's really interesting to kind of get that perspective of how things are happening. I'm still, like I said, a little confused by the family tree. Like I'm getting it, I'm piecing it together. But it is interesting and kind of fun to watch the whole, like, being introduced to a whole set of characters. So they did have a housewife in, I believe, the pilot episode. I'm not sure how involved she is in the project or how often she's going to be into it, but I recognized her and I was like, oh. And then if I was like very immersed in housewife culture, I'm not. I tap in and out of it. I would have realized that it was even more significant that that specific housewife was in the show, because the show is set in Maryland. I forget where exactly, but it's just like not that far from DC, but it's set in Maryland. And this housewife is like from the Potomac franchise, jump off of the Housewives. So I was like, oh, how cute. Because, it's very like location specific to all that. But I'm enjoying it so far. There's a lot of drama. The wedding of this, the ex-husband and the daughter's best friend is the talk of the town, scandalous, all these things. Like, listen, if you watch the wedding, you know a big thing that happens at the wedding. Like, there's so many things going on. And at first, like, I kind of just wanted to tune in out of curiosity and out of support. But now I'm tuning in because I'm generally like, ooh, who's this person? What does this mean? Whatever. So far, I think there's a secret stepchild that Dr. Dani doesn't know about. So I'm keeping my eye on that storyline. I also think there's something with the very like buttoned up, straight lace, perfectly packaged son, grandson, brother. I forget where he is in the tree. But there's something up with him. He works as like a public servant. I think he might be, I don't think he's a senator. But he works something in the public servant. And he's always big about his like perception. And he's like, I have to look a certain way, whatever. He seems to want and be able to be accessed by the people, which is definitely respectable. But there's like a secret happening. I don't know if I would have automatically suspected a secret, but like the show was telling me there's a secret. So I'm like, what's your secret? He kind of had like a secret meeting with a random person in a car, which, listen, if you're trying to have a secret, that's a bad way to hide it. He's having these like suspicious dreams that his husband is just like continuing to warn him about in terms of like, hey, you're not sleeping. And he keeps brushing him off. So there's something there. And this, I don't know if it's the secret itself that was threatened, but when the ex-husband goes to the Dupree father, like the grandfather of everybody, like the head of the household, to ask for the support for the wedding, he kind of hints at that, like the public servant grandson of his. So I was just like, something is going on. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to keep tuning in to find out because I'm curious now. So I don't know. I hope you guys are tuning in to Beyond the Gates. It is really interesting. I feel like if you like, soap operas, and I think if you like housewives like shows, I think you would like this. The level of drama is absolutely there. There's a fashion element to it. There's like the societal element to it. People are throwing drinks, slapping stuff. Surprise little pew-pews pop out at a very inappropriate time. People are ejecting to stuff going, like, there's so much going on, but I'm like locked in. I do want to point out before I kind of close out is that I actually appreciate the integration of like modern societal norms, which I feel like you can't ignore anymore. But like one of the daughters is a model / influencer and has like a whole bunch of, and has like a very big social following. And that kind of becomes a part of like the side plot and story as well, So I feel like that's like a very big thing, younger kids always going to be on their phone or having a big reach. And in a family like this, that's so like, we have a standard to uphold and yada, yada, yada. It's very interesting seeing that play out where you have a younger person in the family that is attached to their phone and is recording all the things and is showing all the things. And there's a level of expose that I feel like, like the older generation didn't have and wasn't prepared for, and see how they integrate that. So I'm actually like really interested in how everything is going on. Beyond the Gates, it's on CBS. It's still new. So like, you can drop in and I guarantee you'll be able to catch up and figure out what happens because it is juicy. So if you guys watch it, let me know. Let me know who your favorite characters are. I think for me, preliminary, I think it's Dr. Dani, and I think it's the photographer guy, Andre. Like, that's who I'm kind of feeling in the early episodes so far. Also, I like the daughter of the more expressive the expressive sister, and her name is Naomi because she's like also a lawyer. So yeah, it's a lot going on. The family tree is growing. I feel like we're still meeting other people in the town and other things like that. But like I'm locked in. I'm actually really enjoying this like soap opera from the beginning journey. So I hope you guys are tuning in. If you do, let me know. Like, am I missing things? Like like I'm not a soap opera person, but this show might make me like really start to tune in with it. So like, yeah, let's get it and let's talk about it. I feel like I'm doing like deep dives into so many shows, so I'm just gonna be really chatty about these things. But whatever you do, make sure you come back to me and remember to always yell respectfully. Bye.